Right. So this is the last part of, well, technically my first set of slides, but I still carry on. And this is really just an appendage to what we were talking about earlier on. Um, so really what we're talking about here is this question of how we manage this excess depreciation as a result of revaluations. So I think you always have to really follow the question carefully, really, and then you're fine, but it's watching it carefully. So it says this entity revalued its land and building at the start of the year to 60 million, and from that 15 is for land, so therefore 45 must be for the buildings. And they give us the initial events, 30 million and 6 million for land, 10 years prior to the revaluation. So let's just put some double entry together, and I think that's the best way to look at this, of course. I'm going to separate out land and buildings, just for calculations are simpler that way. So when you first got this thing, it is 6 for land and 24 for buildings, right? That's what the 6, when I say 6 million, of course, 6 million. Okay, great. And then you have it for 10 years. If you look at the question here, it says here that the you've got it for 10 years prior to the evaluation, but the total expected life um, of 40 million, sorry, 40 years remain unchanged. So the plan was that you were going to have this thing for 40 years. So if you're going to have this building for 40 years, that means that your depreciation, you intend your depreciation to be 24 million over 40 years, right? Which is 0.6 million each year. Sorry, 0.6 million each year, of course. That's what this works out to. So if you've had it for 10 years, let me just change my pen a little. Here we are. So therefore, it means that after 10 years, your accumulated depreciation for your land and buildings, because that's the only thing we can depreciate, we don't depreciate land, must be 0.6 times 10, which is 6 million. So we have depreciation over the last 10 years of 6 million. I'll just change my pen color again. Then they now tell us that a number of things have happened, that you have now, if you like, what's the word? You have revalued this thing. And it says that you have revalued it, and I'm just going to call this, if you like, statement of other comprehensive income for now, because that's where that revaluation will go to first before it transfers to the revaluation reserve. And so we have here, it says here that you have revalued the land to 15. Well, the whole thing, you've revalued the whole thing to 60. So that means that, and you say 15 is for land, that means that 45 is for buildings. So that's your new level, right? So it means that if you're going to do that to 15, the land, that means you're putting in an additional 9. I've got 9 there, right? Because that's now the carry down of that, of course, will be 15 now. So I'm fine. And here, my new figure here, because this is going to 45, right? Because 60 minus, so basically the new revaluation for buildings is 45, new revaluation for land is 15. So together that makes 60. So this must be 21, right? This must be 21 as well. And so I will have here 21. Remember that this is now brand new 15, brand new 45. So I have no accumulated depreciation. So I need to debit accumulated depreciation there and debit it there. So I have a new sort of statement of, I have basically, this is what, 15, 36. So this is all equal to 36 million. My statement of other comprehensive income is showing 36. So, so I transfer that nicely to my revaluation reserve. You know, that goes to my revaluation reserve quite comfortably. There's no problem there, if you like. And that then, you know, so whatever I do the transfer, that's fine. We know that's going to go to the revaluation reserve anyway. Now, what's the situation? I will depreciate my new set of buildings. It tells us that we want to maintain, that it's the expected useful life of 40 years remain unchanged. So that means we have 30 years left. So I now have, if you like, 45 million divided by 30 years. So I need to work out what the new depreciation here is per year, and that works out at 1.5 million. So I'm going to do my depreciation here. So my new depreciation is going to be 1.5 million, and accumulated depreciation 1.5 million. So the argument really here is that you are putting through depreciation due to revaluation hitting the income statement, but yet we have no effect of that joy of that revaluation coming through. And it says you can go away and you can take something from the revaluation reserve to bring it back to what it would have been under normal circumstances. Basically, cater for the revaluation, net off the effect of the revaluation. So, on its own, under normal circumstances, it was 0.6 every year. It's 0.6 every year. Now it's 1.5. So if I want to bring it back to 0.6, I need to release, if you like, I need to net or deduct 0.9, right? Because 1.5 minus 0.9 is 0.6. I need to release 0.9 to that depreciation account, and that would come out of my revaluation reserve. So I debit my revaluation reserve 0.9, debit my depreciation 0.9, and that would now basically my depreciation will be now carried at 0.6, and that's how we annually release, if you like, reserves to net off an inflated or an increased revaluation reserve, if you like, due to revaluation. We never do anything with land. Right, good. And that's kind of the scenario. So you will now have your closing revaluation reserve will be 36 minus 0.9. So that's 36 million minus 900,000, which is really 35.1 million. That's your closing value there. You will have accumulated depreciation of 1.5. You will have carried down land of 15. And yes, carried down buildings of 45 and accumulated depreciation of 1.5. Yeah. Yeah, great stuff. Cool, great. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next set of slides.